Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Hector here with Atlas Aspects, and today I wanted to go over 10 very helpful tips for getting out on those trails as a beginner. If you haven't already, feel free to check out my channel. My channel is about outdoor activities, mainly hiking. Also, feel free, if you enjoy this content, to subscribe and smash that like button because it helps the algorithm know that you all like my videos, and maybe someone else will find it helpful. So without further ado, let's get on to those 10 steps. All right, so step number 1 is figuring out where you want to go hiking. Now, you can't get out on the trail if you don't know where you want to go. And for that, I recommend using AllTrails. The AllTrails app is absolutely fantastic. I'm not affiliated with them and by any means at all. I've mentioned them a few times in some of my other videos, and this is why I think it's great. As a beginner hiker, you don't want to overload yourself. You don't want to go and pick a random hike off of Google without fully understanding what the hike's going to be like. AllTrails comes in handy because it allows you to sort through the difficulty of each hike that you want to go to. It also allows you to pick whether or not you want to do an out and back hike, if you want to do a loop hike, or if you want to bring a dog. You can pick if you want very scenic views or if you want something really challenging. It allows you to actually look at a map of the hike you chose, and it'll show you through GPS navigation where on that hike you are. I use it on all my hikes, and it hasn't let me down yet. The other thing you really have to think about when you're picking your first hike is your level of fitness. And the reason I say this is because I did it, and so many other people who hike have done it, where we are so excited to get out and accomplish these challenging feats and see these beautiful views that we go gung-ho and we pick a 10-mile hike off the bat. And for some people that's great. But for your average Jim, Joe, Bob, it's really difficult, and you'll find yourself not enjoying your hike. So really consider what your level of capability is before you go and pick a hike. So step number 2 is familiarizing yourself with the hike you chose in step number 1. Now this is very important. It becomes very easy if you're using the AllTrails app, but not everyone will use that, and that's okay. I recommend that you at least do a Google search of the hike you chose. And the reason for this is because you want to look at people's reviews. You also want to look at the park to see if they have any information for you that you might need to know ahead of time. Specifically on the reviews are great because it allows you to determine whether or not your hike is going to be really rough because of rocks, or if you're going to have mud, or if it's really overcrowded. It also helps you get a good judge from other people as to how they felt on the hike to see if it's really the hike you want to go on. On to step number 3, ladies and gents. So step number 3 is pretty important. What you need to do is ahead of time, check the weather. I cannot tell you how often I've gone out on a hike and the weather says that it's going to be one thing, and I get out there and I'm 3 miles into a 10-mile hike and all of a sudden it's cold and it's raining. Make sure you are checking the weather 2 days before, the day before, and maybe even the day of before you head out to that hike, because you really want to be prepared. All right, guys, so step number 4. Step number 4 is very important. You need to let people know where you're going and what time you expect you'll be back home. The reason for this is that if you're out on the trail and you twist an ankle, say you're 5 or 6 miles deep and no one knew you were going to be out there and it's not a very well-trafficked trail, no one's going to know. You need people to be aware of where you're going, what time you expect you're going to be back, so that way they know that something might have happened to you if something does. So step number 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5. Make sure that you are packing the proper essentials. You want to make sure that you have some way to navigate, be it a compass, be it a map, because you want to be able to get out in case you get lost, or keep yourself on trail. You also want to make sure that you have some form of sun protection. Sunblock, sunglasses are really good, extra food and extra water, a change of clothes, shirt, shorts, something that you can use, definitely socks, and that you also have some form of a makeshift shelter. If you guys want, while it's in my head, comment below if you want me to make a video of what I carry in my personal pack for hikes. Also, if you want me to do a full review of the AllTrails app. Step number 6 is think about your feet. What I mean by this is don't skimp when it comes to your feet. Make sure that you have a good pair of shoes, and definitely get a good pair of socks. When you're choosing a sock, don't pick cotton. It gets wet and it stays wet, and that could lead to blisters and all kinds of just not fun stuff. I recommend you go with some type of wool, or if you go with synthetic is always good, but don't skimp. The other thing is your shoe. When you're buying a shoe, it's important to know that you don't have to spend $200 on an advanced pair of hiking shoes if you're just getting started, or for that matter, even if you've been hiking. Find a shoe that is within your price range, that is comfortable, and also consider the type of shoe, whether or not you want a full boot, if you want something with a little bit of ankle support, or if you're like me and you really enjoy just hiking in a pair of trail running shoes. It really just depends on the situation of your hike and also your comfortability. So step number 7, dress for success. Think back to the other steps that we've already talked about and make sure you are being aware of the weather and the material you're wearing on your hike. You don't want to be wearing cotton. I've said it once, I'll say it again, you will get chafing or blisters by wearing cotton, and you will be wet and you will be miserable. I recommend wearing synthetic on hikes. Between sweat wicking and the quick dry, it's really handy. Step number 8, hike light. I cannot stress this enough. It is absolutely awful to be on the hike carrying 15 to 20 pounds of gear that you probably won't even be using. Outside of the essentials we already talked about, you don't really need a lot of other stuff. Step number 9 is pacing yourself. It's really important that when you're out on your first few hikes that you're not too ahead of yourself. You don't want to be out hiking and push really hard and give it your all and run out of gas and potentially hurt yourself. You want to make sure that you're having a good time, that you followed all the other steps and you're comfortable and you're maybe with someone and you guys can enjoy your hike at a nice, easy pace. If you're hiking with an experienced hiker or if you're hiking with just other people, what I recommend is that you think about the other people and put the person who hikes the most leisurely, the slowest, in the front. So that way you guys can keep a good pace and no one's feeling like they have to struggle to keep up. And the same goes if you are the person struggling. Make sure that you speak up to the people you're hiking with, because hiking is about having fun. And if you're hiking with a group, it's not fun if one person's not enjoying themselves. It's all about dynamic. Stay safe. So step 10 is very important, and too often I see it not being used. Step 10 is leave it better than you found it. I'll be hiking on a trail, and if you've hiked with me before, you can attest to this. I hate seeing trash and people's stuff just left out on the trail. You know, it's so destructive. As a species, we're really destructive, and doing that one little bit of picking up after yourself and not making a mess and not breaking things and just overall treating the outdoors with respect goes a long way. One thing that I do is that I usually try to keep a plastic bag inside of my bag, and if I see someone's trash or I see something that doesn't look like it needs to be out there, I'll just pick it up and I'll put it in my bag and I will toss it later. It's not that big of a deal. I always have hand sanitizer on me to disinfect after I've touched someone's dirty trash. It helps the overall experience for yourself. It helps nature be naturey. Naturey? You get what I mean. It also just helps in case anyone else is hiking after you. No one wants to be out on a trail and stumbling upon people's trash. That's not what you're there for. You want to be out there for the beauty of the outdoors. And it's just a respect thing. So with that being said, those are the 10 steps that I would recommend for beginner hikers. If you have any questions, comments, concerns at all, or if you just want to know a little bit more about what we talked about, feel free to comment below. And if you really enjoyed this video, which I'm hoping everyone who watches it will, like and subscribe. It goes a long way for me, but more importantly, it goes a long way for people who might enjoy my content. It helps the algorithm know that everyone else is enjoying my content. So that way someone out there might actually benefit from this video. So thank you guys for watching. I'm with Atlas Aspects, and as always, I absolutely adore you guys for just taking the time to watch my videos. And I will see you on the next video.